We've got a new notes document. Please open your Cami tab. You will not see this. This is why you should always select the same copy. I had to tell you that partly because, as you can see, I had to learn by doing it the wrong way. It's going to be a relatively short set of notes for us to introduce the topic of socialization. Here we go. As we introduce this, one of the key objectives is for you to be able to explain the concept of self-development. And specifically, self-development from a sociological standpoint. This is you might, if you've been in Mr. Fox's psychology class, I don't know exactly what he teaches in there, but you might have learned about development, but it will be different. At least slightly, although there may be some overlap. Right, you should understand different perspectives on the stages of a person's self-development. And you should be able to apply what you have learned to real-world data, right, to understand maybe a person's actions in terms of their self-development. Everybody get those? Okay. The reason self-development is the focus here is because the process of socialization, at least as sociologists see it, is about building our own sense of self. And that is because, for sociology, development of self is in relation to others. Our only way of understanding who we are is in relation to others. And more broadly, where we fit, right, within society. Now, we all start as humans. Nothing revelatory about that, I hope. But we become selves. Now, if anybody misread that and got excited, no, I did not say we become elves. Right? Sorry, Chris, we don't become elves. It's a letdown, I know, but this class is full of letdowns. Right? That's the social sciences for you. If I have not left you sadder than you started, I have failed. All right. Now, we've got two main perspectives on the stages of development. The first is from our old friend. You may have forgotten he was your friend, George Herbert Mead, right, the symbolic interaction guy. What he tells us is that our sense of self is our own distinct identity. And this sense of our own identity is developed over a set of 4 stages. The first stage is imitation. This is what very, very small children do. Maybe late infancy, early toddler era. We ape people, right? We mimic people, right? The monkey see, monkey do. But we're not imagining why they do it. That's not a part of the program. And you see this with kids, right? They will pick up a doll, right, maybe, and carry it around, right, because they've seen you carry around maybe another smaller family member, right, or maybe even because you've carried them, right, and they're just like, well, bigger person carries littler thing, but they're not thinking about what that means. We move on from there to the play stage. And at this stage, we start to actually try to understand why other people are behaving the way they do. And that is symbolized here, right, by these two girls playing house. One of them may be taking on the mom role, the dad role, right, and doing different things. Right? They're acting out the parts and trying to understand the different relationships. How many of you have little family members who are doing this right now? Right, Bobby, so you're seeing this, Robert, Chris. Right? Do they act like one person or the other in a household? They like maybe mimic, and kids will mimic like crazy. Granted, this is a story from the 1980s in the fair state of Missouri, so understand that context. My parents, pretty straight-laced people, didn't smoke, didn't drink, and yet, like, somehow, just being around other kids at daycare, right? Come home from work at daycare, walk into the little Tyke's kitchen, right? Ask whoever the girl was that was being the mom for a beer, right? We were not supervised terribly closely. Also, honest to goodness, as one of our craft exercises, we rolled play cigarettes and made cigarette packs. I'm not kidding. Like this is your state, guys. But we were stepping into roles, right, and trying to understand them. And kids do pick up on that stuff. When somebody tells you not to swear around a little one because they're a sponge, they're not joking, right? We move on from there to the game stage, right? And that's where this adorable little fella is, right? He is not just working on understanding why other people do what they do. Right? He is considering his part of a group where each member has different roles that interact with and are dependent on each other. So he's a pitcher, right? So what does he do? Yeah, he throws the ball anywhere? To the batter, right? Because, well, that's his role. The batter's role is to try and hit it. All right, the batter hits the ball. It goes right to the pitcher, right? It's a nice ground ball right straight to the pitcher. What does the pitcher do next? Throws it to first. Well, why not third? Yeah, but it's fancier if he turns and throws that way than if he that's lazy. I mean, he's already kind of facing that direction. Why does he throw it to first? Jaden, why does he have to? Because the batter's running to first, right? Everybody knows their role, and they're interacting based on those things, right? And you all know this, whether you've really played much baseball or not. How many of you ever played some baseball? Right? Maybe because your family put you in it, right? So a few of you, right? How many of you still know that the pitcher throws it to first, even if you didn't play? Yeah, so more of you than actually played. Right? That's it. Congratulations. Right? You guys seem to have successfully completed the game stage. So you are at least now developmentally 7. Right? That's good. All right. Now, this is not just about sports. This is about family. Right? Things like chores, as much as you might hate them, right, are about you understanding your interaction and your part of a system. You see it in school too. And all of you came in and you went to the same seats you've been sitting in this entire semester. Right? None of you tried to sit in my seat, which is good for a couple of reasons. One, it's not your seat, and two, I was already sitting in it, and that would have been awkward, right? But you guys don't have a question of where you sit, right? You know what your roles are. Right? We each come in and we each do our job. Right? Same with economic life. This, as you can see, is the game stage extends beyond 7, right? All of my joking aside, how many of you have a job? Okay, so several of you have a job. Justin, where do you work, if you don't mind us asking?
Big Lots.
Big Lots? All right. So, do you just show up when you want to? No. How do you know when to show up? They tell you when to show up. And then when you're finished, you just lay down probably somewhere and just sleep until they need you again?
Yeah.
No, well, don't tell them that, Justin. They'll stop paying you. No, I mean, you leave when your shift is over. Right? You know what you're supposed to do while you're there. Right? Do you have to interact with customers, or do you have more of a behind-the-scenes job?
I'm a cashier.
Okay, so you're all interactions with customers, right? So you know what how are you supposed to interact with the customer?
Just ask them to, like, for rewards, be nice.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of different stuff.
Right. But you know that. I mean, do you always want to be nice to them?
Sometimes.
Sometimes, right? But let's face it, like a lot of times, people are horrible, right? I'll be honest, I was quite glad when Walmart did a bunch more self-checkout, because oftentimes the self-checkout machine had as much personality as the human cashier had ever shown me, right? So, like, I don't always want to interact with people, but right, we have to interact a certain way, right? It's part of our role, whether we want to be doing that or not. Right? So all of that, we can think of it as lots of things are really just games. Maybe that makes work easier if now Justin just thinks of it as a game. Right? From there, right, this is the stage where you are right now. Right? You're mastering the more complicated parts of the game stage, right? And you reach the stage of the generalized other. Now, everything to this point has been pretty straightforward, and then it kind of breaks down here. But again, our sense of self for sociologists is primarily something that exists in relation to other people. Right? And in this case, right, our generalized other is kind of this imaginary, right, generic member of society. When we say generic, right, I don't want you to think of like the off-brand cereal at the grocery store. Right? That's not what we mean. Generic here just means general. What would you expect of the generic member of society, Madison, if you got up at the end of this class and you accidentally left your phone on your desk? What would you expect the generic member of society to do?
Either take it up or leave it alone.
Okay, yeah, so I mean, you don't expect them to steal it? Does that mean that nobody would steal it?
Oh, no.
No, it does not mean that, right? So, like, Madison expects, like, it could go a couple of ways, right? They might leave it alone. What would you expect if, right, it's somebody sitting right where Pandora is sitting, right, and they see you leave your phone? What do you expect them to do in that case?
Like, pick it up and, like, give it to me?
Yeah, let you know before you walk out of here without it, right? So, you have an understanding of what, in general, somebody would do in a given situation. That's the generalized other, right? It can be as simple as that. Right? But again, it's not like a universal thing. Right? We can imagine, right, that odds are, if you made it completely out of this room before anybody realized you left your phone, right, somebody would give it to me, take it to the office. Right? It would get back to you one way or the other, right? Because you know what the general member of society would do. At the same time, you're going to be a little afraid that somebody's going to steal it, because that's also a possibility. Right? But you get this sense of what others will do, right? And that guides what you're going to do. Right? Because we start not only to think about what others would do, but we start to see our own sense of self as if we were looking in through somebody else's cultural eyes. I know this is where it gets weird, but again, Madison, what would you do if you came into this classroom and you saw a phone on that desk?
Give it to you.
You would give it to me. Why wouldn't you take it? I mean, they're valuable, right? You can probably find somebody that can figure out how to hack that and wipe it, and then you could sell it on eBay. Right? Why not?
It's not the right thing to do.
It's not the right thing to do, right? Even if you don't get caught, you still know it's the wrong thing to do. Your sense of self and being a good person is how others would see you, right? And that's a big part of it, how we behave, right, and how we see ourselves. Right? So if, say, Josh sees himself as, right, a patriotic American, he partly knows what a patriotic American is. Maybe do you have some patriotic family members? Yeah. So you know kind of what that looks like and what they expect from you in terms of patriotism. Do you also know it by looking at, I don't know, like a dirty hippie burning a flag, right? That's not patriotism, right? Yeah, so a big part of how we get this is by seeing ourselves through really that generic member of society. Right? Now, and Josh, do you imagine that most people in the society are at least fairly patriotic? Yeah, I think that's fair to say. I know when some people I've known from other countries have come here, they're like, man, if people in our country flew flags as much as you guys did, like, we would be considered like right-wing nationalists. Right? And I mean, I hear that even from like Brits. Right? If you see somebody flying an English flag, that probably means they're a racist. Right? That's, and I checked it out, and I kind of see where they're coming from. But in America, right? I mean, you see lots of people flying American flags, right? And it doesn't mean they're racist, right? And it doesn't mean they're right-wing nationalists. So we see ourselves through that generic member, but right, again, we can also see it through other perspectives to know what we're not. Next up is Kohlberg, Lawrence Kohlberg. And his emphasis is more on moral development. Now, it's very much a part of who we are. It's our sense of moral values. So he naturally was focused on the question of how is it that people learn what is good, what is bad, what is right, or what is wrong. And then how do they learn to behave according to that moral compass or moral code? He tells us this happens over 3 stages. Now, this is going to be disappointing to some of you because you're going to find out that you're really not close to the end yet in Kohlberg's framework. The first is the pre-conventional stage. This is babies. Now, you guys are past the baby stage, right? Congratulations on that. In the pre-conventional stage, the world is only what we can see, taste, and touch, right? And I suppose what we can hear. Right? That's it. Right? And babies are certainly sensory, crazy things. Right? They hit stuff. Right? They want to put everything in their mouth. Right? And they're monsters. They are absolute monsters. They have no empathy. Right? They don't know and they don't care why you were asleep in the middle of the night. Right? If they are wet, right, or hungry, they're going to scream at you and wake you up till they get what they want. Right? They cannot put themselves in your shoe and have anything like empathy, much less sympathy. And remember, empathy, to distinguish it from sympathy, is the ability to understand where other people are coming from. What's their perspective? How do they feel? Or more colloquially, to put yourself in somebody else's shoes. The next stage is the conventional stage. And, like I said, this is where it might be a letdown or you might feel insulted by Kohlberg. But you're in it now, and maybe not even that far into this stage of development. In this stage, empathy becomes your guiding light in terms of morality. Okay, now if you're thinking, well, that doesn't sound insulting at all, Well, I mean, it's not really meant to be. But the other thing is what you do, right, according to Kohlberg, is you do put yourself in other people's shoes and you try to figure out what they would want you to do. That's why peer pressure is such an effective force in your teenage years. Right? And the fact that you spend so much time around your peers. Right? I don't get to spend much time around my peers. Right? Because I'm either cooped up in a house with small children or I'm here in classrooms full of you. Right? And you guys are not my peers. Don't take that. It's not like a statement of inequality. It's just I'm old and you're not. It's different. And, you guys are really focused on empathy. Robert's going to do what Robert does, kind of based on what he thinks his peers will respect him for doing, judge him for not doing. Now, Robert, you seem a little ambivalent about that, and that's also quite possible. Right? Because again, people are going to go through these stages not in the identical chronology. When you move beyond conventional stage, right, and let's face it, Kohlberg was not as inventive with naming here, right, but it's effective. The post-conventional stage. Right, at this point, you have developed your own code. Right? You've internalized your own code. Right? At this point, Robert is not just thinking, well, if I do this, is Bobby going to think more or less of me? Right, all of a sudden, Robert's like, well, this is right, and it doesn't matter so much what anybody else thinks. He's got his own abstract sense, and one of the signs that you reach this stage is you become aware, right, more or less keenly, that there can be a conflict between what you view as right or wrong, good or bad, and the law, which is symbolized in this image, right? A lady stealing a loaf of bread to feed her kid. Right? Is that illegal? Yes, it is illegal. If you saw her in the store and she looked really down on her luck and that kid looked really hungry, would you go, like, if find like the manager, or if it's Hy-Vee, sometimes I know they've got like a cop standing around. Would you go find that cop and turn him in? No? Why not? I mean, it's theft. Right? It's against the law. You'd probably get it for it. See, okay, right? I mean, so, and that is some clearly post-conventional thinking. One, right, you realize that she is breaking the law, but your code also, right, you're uncomfortable with the idea of law breaking, even if you think that it would be excusable. Yes, you will fill out your pass, I will sign it. And yet, right, you're not comfortable with her not having what she needs. Even though, like in this story, Bobby, I don't think you're imagining that you know this lady. Right? It's not like she's a friend, you're just seeing her and you would do that anyway. Yeah, that's kind of post-conventional thinking. And again, for Kohlberg, that's the point, right? You can also see it with other questions. They come up all the time. Right? Let's just pick on Caleb since he's going to be leaving the room here. Let's say Caleb is a baker, right? And he likes baking cakes for weddings. Right? But he does not approve of same-sex marriage. Right? Is it legal for him to refuse to bake a cake for a same-sex couple getting married? It is, right? Now, I saw some of you shaking your head, some of you nodding. Right? I mean, that was something that's been decided within your lifetimes, and then kind of like quickly all the talk about it kind of died out. Right? It was a big deal when you guys were, when were you born, Justin?
2003.
2003, so you were 7, right? Not really paying attention to these kind of issues at 7. Totally understandable. Right? So, and then again, it's like people stopped talking about it because the Supreme Court decided it and that was kind of done, right? But it is actually illegal for Caleb to say, no, I'm not going to bake a cake for you because I don't approve of same-sex marriage. Right? Is that a clash of his morality and the law? Yeah, I mean, that because mostly likely he objects on some grounds related to maybe his religious sense of morality. Do you guys, well, I don't want to put anybody on the spot, right? But do you believe people should be able to express those religious point of view and how they do business? Some of you do, some of you don't. I'm not going to weigh in on this because I try to be as confusing to students as possible because I don't want anybody to feel like they need to try to give me the right answer. But that's a conflict, right? And it comes up. It's coming up right now with the possibility that the Supreme Court is going to overturn Roe versus Wade, and then lots of states are going to change their abortion laws. All right, some of them have already actually changed them, and the laws are written such that they go into effect as soon as the Supreme Court overturns Roe versus Wade. Then you're going to see a whole lot of people keenly feeling this post-conventional stage of moral development. Okay. All right. That takes us to the end of these notes. Please save and upload them. I know that's not much, but make sure you upload it to get the points. No exit slip. And again, tomorrow we will devote some time to letting you work on those review quizzes. Yes, Madison.
I don't think you need a cultural review of unlimited items.
I did. Okay, probably that's probably not. I was putting those together in a bit of a rush. All right. Yes, I did not. Thank you, Madison.
Oh, that's crazy. I just watched that yesterday.
Which one, South Park or Full Metal Jacket? Okay, it should be set now. Thanks again, Madison. Yes, have a good afternoon. I will see you tomorrow. Good morning, Anna. All right, Anna.
Hey, Anna, imagine not being in school yesterday.
Yeah,
Where were you?
mental health day.
That's fun. We love that.
Okay, so the big thing, Anna, so one, the assignment from yesterday, the discussion, do that. But the other thing, I opened up a module and reopened the family vacation carbon footprint assignment and then the check and correct test. Those will be open until, I think, when did I set that as? It was right there, May 2nd. All right, so work on those. All right, that's going to be a big way for everybody to improve their grade.
Is it okay if I use the restroom?
Yeah. Anna, let me write you a pass real quick, just in case. So, Anna, you were welcome.
Brad,
Mr. Oswald, how's it going?
you been having any trouble with like videos getting blocked still?
Well,
Because I've been having
yes.
stuff they've been saying that they're like,
Right. Well,
they
they,
had like a Russian Revolution, we had World War I, and the kids were trying to like, well, they're saying it was like age, well, I don't know what it was, age, inappropriate or something.
right. Yes. Yeah.
So
that-
what do we do about
nothing.
this?
Well, now you have to go back to getting TMC to green light it.
You're kidding.
Because they switched their software. Because I asked, I said, what happened to the button that used to let us approve things? Now, I will tell you one, you can launder the video through something called Vibi. So, and it's easy. Not as easy as it should be, but if you go there, what you'll do is you'll just put the link to the YouTube video in there. And then if you want to use a video where there is something you need to cut out because it's not classroom appropriate,
Right.
you can trim it in there, and then you can set it so they can't watch the rest of the video. Last I checked, TMC, they didn't know about Vibi, but they said they would green light Vibi. So anything from...
So you go to video, you put the link on that,
Yeah.
and then from there...
Yeah, and
you're
then...
able to put it onto Canvas? Or?
Yeah, because you'll have a Vibi, you can embed it just like you did before. Or put the Vibi link in and it will work. Let me show you just for example, because I think it's automatically logged me in.
You have to open an account with Vibi or something to do this? Or?
You can log in with Google, just your same Google
Okay.
account. Let's see, my profile. Okay. Thank you, Justin. All right, so if you do that...
I went to investigate in Yongcheng, which is the biggest county in the Jiangsu region, because I
You
wanted
just
to know...
click share once you've made it, and then you can use the link. You can also get the embed code and put it right into your Canvas page. Everything else, once you've done that, works just like putting in a YouTube video.
Are you going to be right after school for a little bit?
Yeah. Well, find me in the library. I've got to babysit the Dungeons and Dragons Club, but I'll be in the library, right there at Miss Johnson's desk. So I'll be around.
Okay, I might come in because I have just a couple. I think if I do it while you're walking me through it, I'll remember
Sure.
it.
Yeah. No, I totally understand. Yep. No problem.
I was about to say, why doesn't he just give
What was really going on? Yongcheng wasn't under my jurisdiction, it was under Jiangsu's.
He's rich, but he ain't dry. He's rich, but he's stingy. I'm not gonna do that. I'll give him my dog. You can at least, I guess he is, but he's the one who's
Good morning, Saya. Good morning, Henry. Good morning, Zane.
It's like right where the pole is. It's such a bad one. I wouldn't
Yeah, I only pull up. I only pull out, not pull in. Right. I hope you pull out.
Jack said it's what?
Jackson, you need to be nice.
How do you feel about the late?
Wait until I explain the do now, and then take a few minutes, and then we'll go. All right, guys, please get into our Xinjiang module and find the 19 April do now. This reviews genocide, and you've got 7 minutes for 2 attempts. It's pretty short. As far as our quizzes go, I will only keep your higher score. All right, so please take your time and use the notes. I know some of you could use the boost on your quiz grade. All right, and we will move on at 10:18.
I saw a big man with a mullet walking. Look, it's far out. Workplaces are so inconsistent.
It's stupid. Like, they all say that they're hiring and they just want to work there. And then they don't want to give me an interview.
Well, it's someone, but not you. They don't want to see a big burly man with a mullet with the uniform on.
So you're saying I should put my hair in a bun cap?
I'm saying you should cut it.
No, I'm not cutting my hair.
Yes, fill out your pass. I will sign it.
Like on here.
Yeah, just correct. That's mine. I just didn't shave the sides.
Is there consistency?
No, mullets is being shaved the sides. He wants the milk. He wants to eat. I want the sugar mommy. Jackson, I just need your milk.
Hey, that's okay. That's racist.
What?
That does not make sense. I am race.
I'm too good to park on the sophomore.
You're too cool.
I don't even park in a lot. I park in the street.
I don't even park in the street.
I like my car in the yard. Don't worry about me. I'm a kid. Okay, so I'm good.
So, well, I know it's not, but it was the best show.
Myself.
Oh man, what did I do now yesterday?
Man, I thought about getting.
Homie, are you going full emo?
I'm going fully now.
Well, they're all
I
excited.
know Jackson, you don't want to see it, but it has to happen. What? I'm going to.
You have 10 days.
Yeah. It's just so expensive. They're not that expensive. They're only like $200, but. Dude, I like emo girls. I'm not even attracted to it. What about the Yeah.
Not Thanksgiving, Easter.
Better not sunset. Oh my goodness. That was 6 months ago.
Jackson, you know Wes?
Doesn't look like at that point.
Yeah, I know Wes.
Homie painted his fingernails. Wes painted his fingernails. What size? I remember
You ate your older cousin?
No.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
I have long legs.
Like this kid.
My legs are okay.
That's really nasty.
Jackson, can I have you?
Yes.
I'm one of your best friends.
I'd rather have Jackson.
There's a girl.
You're one of my only friends.
Yeah, I better get invited to that grad
I
party.
can just get in
I
town.
don't think I'm having one.
Really?
Jackson, that's better than me. You're actually not my
All right, you guys are clearly finished at actually judging by the fact that there are no more attempts going on. You guys really are finished. Okay. Okay, so with this, right, being that there are only 6 options and you're supposed to pick the 5 that are, we need to focus on why this one is excluded. Moving people out of a particular identity out of a place, that's not necessarily genocide, right? Remember, genocide is really about efforts to destroy a group, right? And moving them out doesn't necessarily destroy them, right? For example, this is not really even anything called ethnic cleansing, but it kind of makes that case. At the end of the Vietnam War, the U.S. moved a lot of the Hmong ethnic group out of Vietnam because they'd been allies of the United States and they didn't want them to be killed off or imprisoned by the communists. Is that ethnic cleansing? Yeah, I mean, in some sense, but it was done for humanitarian reasons to get them out.
What are you
Right.
talking about?
The removal of the Hmongs from Vietnam.
Oh, I thought you were saying the Holocaust. I'm like, bro, you don't.
No, definitely not.
I didn't know cleansing.
Yeah, but this is not some like classroom experiment where I play the part of a Holocaust denier and see if students like stick up for the truth. No, the Holocaust really happened. I mean, growing up, I did know a guy who was a Holocaust denier. It was really awkward at the public library in 8th grade when I was researching for my English class, and he's like, "I've got a book on like." I mean, it was just crazy. I was like, sure. Also, I mean, it was ridiculous. It was this big, thick book full of nonsense.
Are you sure he's not dead now?
Oh, what? No, the guy that gave me the book, he's dead.
No, he's
Good.
He's 6 feet under. He's
Hitler's
gone.
good, too.
Yeah.
Hitler is dead.
Yeah, Hitler is also dead.
He's, no, he's
People
living
actually
in,
say that didn't happen.
Oh yeah, no, this book, like all kinds, like the ink that Anne Frank wrote her diary in hadn't been invented yet. I mean, how you would even come up with that case, but like all of these, just this huge. The funny thing was, like on the inside flap of the book is a picture of the author being beaten up by a mob, and he's like, look at these Holocaust, like whatever he called them, these myth makers or something. I was like, no, guy, those are just ordinary people who think you're a dirtbag and they're beating you up. There's like no conspiracy there. Like you've published a book saying the Holocaust didn't happen and people hate you. None of this is a surprise. So no, Justin, I was talking about the Hmongs. Yeah. So like in the Gran Torino movie with Clint Eastwood, that Asian family, those were people moved out of Vietnam by the U.S. to save them, right?
That makes sense.
Yeah, and so in that case, I mean, that's why ethnic cleansing and genocide are not the same. I mean, in that case, we sort of cleansed Vietnam of the Hmong, but did it in order to really preserve their continued existence. All right, and we aren't far off on that one. Okay, and then again, this is just the forced removal. Zane, you're good? Okay. Okay, let me get... All right, guys, your next stop. Should the United States do something?
No.
Well, no, you need to open it. It's not that simple. All right.
But it is. And it can be done.
You know how much money it takes to
Why?
stop going to the-
Hush, Bryce, hush.
Thank you for your detailed explanation.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Why do you exist?
No, stop.
I don't know, I question myself on that every day. If
Why?
you check the
That
videos-
exists. Like we ain't just tripping up like, oh,
Why are you the way that you are?
Why are you blind?
Okay?
You are currently the only person in this conference.
Exactly.
You're an outcast.
You're an outcast.
Exactly. I wasn't born with a sister.
Okay.
You do not exist.
That's my brother.
All right, guys, the point of this assignment is to explore, right, and it's not going to be as simple as just saying no, the question of whether the United States should intervene to help the Uyghurs, and if so, what America could do to help them. So please click on the link to go to the Kahoot.
Where are you? I'm so sorry.
Why do you think the blitzkrieg was so efficient?
It's free focus.
I don't know.
I don't know about great coding.
I love Kahoot. I love playing Kahoot last hour.
I played it the second hour.
So how can
Shut
I played it first hour because both of
Okay,
them.
All right, and again, follow the lead of Justin, Deacon, and Pablo. Use your real name so that you can get the points for this.
Yeah.
I got hands, man. I got hands. I'm a senior. I can't do anything.
How did you get crushed? Well, what are you trying to say?
I used to play for them.
Man, in high school.
I don't know. They're definitely not. I don't know.
They're paused.
All right, well, you rolled with it, Matt, and I applaud you for that.
Shorter man, taller man. I'm gay man.
What?
Huh?
You didn't allow me to show my sexuality.
You should go by mullet, Matt.
Oh, here, kick me out real quick.
You're a groupie, dog. You're a groupie. Mullet, Matt.
Oh, God.
I wouldn't even
Oh,
laugh at
no.
Once you
All right, let's go ahead and get this started. All right, for the first question, simple poll to get us started. Is the U.S. obligated to intervene to help the Uyghurs? All right, so we've got an even split. All right, that did not happen before. Granted, I've only run this once before. All right. Okay. Now, even if you said we should not, right, pretend for the moment that we should, which of the following would most clearly require the United States to help? Okay, and it is the 1948 Genocide Convention. So, what is some of the evidence that a genocide is happening?
They're sterilizing people.
Yeah, so forced sterilization is very clear, right? Yeah, if you're doing that, then you are stopping that population from reproducing. Okay, so there's what else?
Killing 6 million Jews.
No, not this one. No.
Concentration camps.
So they are doing concentration camps, right? What else? Because remember, it's not, both of those are really solid examples of why we can make the case that a genocide is happening. What else?
Brainwashing.
Yeah, so the brainwashing, right? The re-education so that they stop believing their Muslim faith, right, and their separate identity. Okay. What else are they, in terms of religion, what else are they doing to the Uyghurs? What are they? So, yeah, and casting you out, if you remember, one of those examples from the first video was just as simple as having a picture on somebody's phone that showed somebody praying, I think was the image that they saw. And that was enough to get them arrested and sent to a re-education camp. So, casting them out, what does that tell you about the freedom of religion for the Uyghurs?
Not very much.
Right. They don't have it. Right? They're trying to stamp out their Islamic faith and replace it with what? What are they trying to get the Uyghurs to be?
More of the ideal Chinese.
Right. They're trying to make them Chinese, right? Good Chinese. More like the Han ethnic group. Okay. So, yeah, we've got plenty of evidence that genocide is happening, and so the Genocide Convention would obligate the U.S. to act.
What's the Geneva Convention?
So the Geneva Convention is the one that has to do with, like, the laws of war, treatment of POWs. It's all kinds of stuff. Like, it says that, Justin, if you were going to, like, if you're going to go to, let's say you're going to go to Ukraine.
Yeah.
And you want to fight the Russians.
Yeah.
Actually, let's just throw it. Since Justin thought I was denying the Holocaust, we're going to make Justin a Russian sympathizer. Just out of spite. So Justin wants to go kill Ukrainians, right? Because he hates freedom. So Justin goes over there to fight. Now, the Geneva Convention would say, if Justin is going to be a lawful combatant, right, you can't dress like that. Right? You're going to have to put on a uniform that identifies you and which side you're fighting for. So that's the stuff in the Geneva Convention. But once you've done that, if the Ukrainians capture you, they have to treat you in certain ways. Right? They have to treat you humanely. So that's the Geneva Convention kind of stuff. All right, and now for the more thoughtful part of this. Okay.
Jackson.
All right, the Jackson is in the lead, followed by Chris, Emma, Mullet, Matt, and Anna. All right. Now for the brainstorm, I want you to list your 2 ideas separately. The brainstorm will let you offer 2 ideas. Again, offer them separately. Which 2 things could the U.S. do that would be most helpful to the cause of the Uyghurs?
I don't even know.
Now be careful with what you pick, because this is going to guide kind of the next assignment. So,
That's really stressful.
What could they do to help both sides?
no, just the Uyghurs.
Just the leaders.
No, the Uyghurs.
I'm stupid.
We don't want to help the Chinese in this situation, not because we hate them, but they don't need it, right? We just kind of need them to stop.
You kill them all as well. Yeah, but I'm freeing them from the line.
So, Anna's basically saying end the genocide by completing the genocide. So,
That was the movie, actually.
Yeah, he wants
We could finish them
genocide.
off.
I said nuking China.
Who are you helping in that situation?
No one. Absolutely no one.
you're like that guy from what was the newest Suicide Squad. I love peace, and I don't care how many people I have to kill to get it. Was that the line?
John
Yeah.
Cena.
It's just,
Yeah, I can't say that I'm a fan of John Cena.
Yes, he is. He's actually really
John
good.
Cena
He's
is
actually really good. He's actually really good.
Oh.
He goes on TV series as well as well.
Did you know that? How do y'all not know that? He looks like John Cena.
Isn't he that?
I know.
Isn't he that professional male dancer?
I don't.
John Cena, professional dancer.
He not actually.
No, I think you mean a dancer. That I think because it's just dancing.
He was
Right.
in WWE.
Man, like a lot of movies.
That's entertaining.
Yeah, he was in the Fred movie, so.
He looks like John Cena.
I don't know what he looks like. Well, where is he?
Raggy.
I had one person, I went to their house and said, "Oh, we have to."
Okay.
show John Cena." I said, "No, you don't."
All right. All right. So take in refugees. Okay, let them come to the United States. You're going to put 1.3 billion people in one camp until they let the other people out of the... That's going to be a really big camp. It's,
We just make Russia the camp. We just like put Walter in Russia and make it live in Russia.
We just turned the whole country into a concentration camp.
I mean, it basically is.
We're gonna do all of Asia for what? What is Asia?
We'll just bomb Europe.
Well, if you do Asia, not only do you solve the Ukraine crisis, but then you also help these guys.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about
But
that.
isn't Ukraine an Asian country, or is it
Bomb
European?
Russia.
And then you use that for crime.
Stop doing things.
We could nuke
You mean
him.
get them out sexy?
Yeah,
I'm gonna nuke him.
He has a disease that makes like
actually, we'll go with...
things all over his body, colorful. No,
Hey, I'm wearing that.
No, my dad was
Too long, so they just knock himself for crime.
a bomb.
He does.
That's a bomb.
How do you get fired?
Ow.
I watched it film in August 2021. I don't remember.
Is he racist?
No,
Yes,
he's just-
I am.
Who
He
said
makes
yes?
fun of me for being
No, that's not what I do. Oh, here we go.
Imagine.
Okay.
Yeah, I bet you can't see that.
I genuinely think Chris is a racist.
No.
Take it off.
All right. Let's consider our sifted options here. So we've got 2 that are related, but separate things. We should help them to go to Turkey, right, or escape in general, and then, right, we should let them into the United States. Yeah.
Your mom.
Also, all right, now with this one of you put both ideas in the same box. I've put you in this category.
Hold my
because we had plenty of refugees people. All right. So we could take in refugees. We could take control of China. We could tell China to stop. Okay, we could try to reason with them, or we could support the Uyghurs. All right. So, next up, let's vote on our options.
What does emotional support mean? Does that mean like we're going to send over some teddy bears?
Yes.
Something, some kind of aid to help them.
They eat box of chocolate.
I don't think the Uyghurs eat dogs.
Yeah, they eat them.
All right. So let's begin the voting. I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure.
If it was like the apocalypse or something, I would understand. I gotta put meat first.
It's pretty easy.
Damn.
So the back and the sides are shorter than that. So the top, it's like kind of long, and then it progressively gets longer. And then I'll just like take a shower. Whenever I dry it, I move around like this. It's like the easiest hairstyle. You don't like it? It's like not even $9.
All the Chinese in their own camps. What?
Yeah, I know. It's just bad.
What did he say? Yes.
I told you guys. I'm on the podium. Yo, let's go. I'm on the podium.
How did your mom not get voted? What?
I know, it's great. Why wouldn't you vote for it?
Hey,
There we
my
go.
idea. My idea to be in
Yeah,
My bad. Sorry.
everybody gets my name.
Oh, okay.
Someone thought my name was.
All right. So the two tying here are migration solutions. All right, guys, you've got your migration solutions, and then telling them to stop was a distant fourth.
Yeah, it's not. It's
All right.
really
It sounds dumb, but I meant like we could like acknowledge and be like, hey.
Yeah, no. That's
We're just like, hey, stop it.
so. It turns out whether that one won or not, we're going to talk about that as an option and why it is difficult to pressure them. But I got what you. I didn't know that was yours. I mean, I'll look at the report later, but no, I mean, I get it. I mean, it is a powerful thing just to actually tell China we know what you're doing and it's wrong, because there aren't many countries that will even do that anymore. So yeah, I got it. That's a legit option. We're gonna talk about it. Yes, Matt.
That's an option.
Didn't we tell Russia to do that, and then they just attacked the whole country?
Yes.
So we can't really tell them to stop.
Well, and so we'll talk. I mean, because that's going to also raise the issue of why it is important, but
We can
it's
acknowledge it.
only going to be so effective.
I don't think we should try to start a war with
Yeah,
China
exactly.
and
You
Russia
will.
at the same time, because then we're going to have
Still, I can pass up,
And
sign it.
also, like,
Yeah. Well, so we're going to talk about that. For now, we've got a little bit of time before our exit slip. I want you guys to work on the discussion assignment you started yesterday.
Yes, sir.
Right, remember, you've got some opportunity for bonus points. So, guys, help Justin out. Justin
Me too.
says that people don't give him enough comments to have a reasonable conversation. Oh, yeah, Emma wants the podium.
No, this one was better though.
What if we just gave China $5?
Yeah, how about that?
What if we just
What
we just murdered all of them? Oh my gosh, China, you're so silly.
Yo,
Mullet!
Yay!
I'm so happy.
Me.
Let's
Ew,
go.
Emma.
All right, nicely done. The Jackson, Mullet Matt, and Emma.
I got
Hey,
first.
it's me!
Highest score.
Our mullet's really the most effective.
All right, and if you no longer have anything to do on the discussion, your other option is, remember, the family vacation carbon footprint makeup module. 111 points worth of assignment credit you could make up, and 55 points of test credit. Right now, our only source of test credit. So, if you want to help your grade, those two things are the best you could do. All right, I'll let you know when the exit slip goes live. Until then, work on the discussion.
Half my other ones go. I had more.
Look, see right here.
Where did all my stuff go? I put more than that.
If you don't like it, have it.
I don't even know. That's on God.
If you don't like it,
He's
can I
just
have
not
it?
gonna eat it and carry it around.
Cause I won't want it.
You what?
I won't want it.
They're all gone.
Can I have one?
They're all gone.
Yeah.
I just be low.
Wait, what?
I can see one in your hand. That one's not gone yet.
I don't have them.
Just give me like the tiniest little bit. That's all I want to know. I don't know if I have it.
I mean, I do have one more left. Can I have it?
I was in mind, I'm
You are currently the only person
You're
in this
eating
conference.
what's ready.
You already
Oh
had
my
one as
God,
well.
stop, I'm afraid. I am taking in my food.
I'm coming out. I'm coming upstairs. I'll move downstairs.
If I'm the hard one, I'm about to go.
Go get something to eat before.
No, I'll take
I gave you more. I don't think you, oh, wow.
Frederick.
I'll do that, like, $2 for that.
$2?
$2.
So good, dude.
Deal.
And it's
Can you bring me some more? Liam, bro.
Boom. Thank you.
I don't have
it's
that.
pretty cheap though.
I live in the opposite direction.
Oh yeah, I forget what it is. I'm kidding.
You should bring me some.
Bring me some. Nice to meet you.
Whoa.
I should have bought 2. I'm
You
only
don't
allowed
have
to.
that
says your
Huh?
Are you gonna get a job now?
Yeah.
Very classics.
I'm only allowed to grab these anymore, but I
Yo,
can
Matt,
do
that
it.
looks familiar, bro.
Good, they give me one.
Like, I mean, this is the last one I have.
It feels like freeing.
Yeah, just throw it over here.
Don't give it to
Promise I'll-
Justin.
I'll catch it.
Here,
I'm better than
I'll
Justin.
hand it to Justin.
This is peer pressure.
No.
Do you
it's
know
not.
how,
You guys
like,
want to-
hey, I just got my license. I mean, that's actually good. And I did drive myself to school for the first time today. Ooh, okay.
Hey, but I'm not her, so that's a good.
I'm better than
Really good
that.
at-
I'm gonna get all these
Hey,
wrong.
don't.
You're an idiot.
Stop!
No. Where they are, Emma.
I have the answer. I'm
No,
so
we're-
scared.
For the God, there's some God, I ain't thinking about my little sick of Jesus Christ.
Stop!
I'm in a
Just
Christian,
eat it
I'm
yourself.
you in the face.
Yeah.
If any of my
Actually, you probably should have. I don't wanna eat that now, let me put it.
I just about misspelled that. We were playing
Touched it,
GTA
mine.
Trouble on that.
Okay.
Where
Yeah.
you should get invites to the.
You want, I thought.
Check your phone, sound check your
Never
phone.
doing that again.
Dude, I swear he's so. Bro, what a goofball, dude. I need to put
Every Thursday, I already do it. No, I have it
I got all of the stuff.
I like it.
That's what you're talking about?
Yeah, you
It
will.
was just kind of game.
It is.
Cheesy had it.
And that's, I put that on easy.
There's no.
That
It's
is not good.
not that bad. Oh, it's only easy.
I thought you were doing your discussion.
That's already done, though. That's all.
There was 4 people that replied to last week. And I did it.
I'm gonna start talking to
Are you
myself.
racist? I don't know what you're talking
Yeah, Jackson, I thank you. Me too, Jackson. I remember there was one assignment where Jackson was the only other one that posted anything, and so I replied to his and he replied to mine, and we just sort of had.
We were having a conversation.
And then I did it at like 2 in the morning.
But why would you do it 2 in the morning?
It makes me so mad. I was doing mine at like 6 o'clock. Well, thank you.
Mine's like half gone. Matt posted.
Because that's racist.
I have much more stuff in this.
I'm gonna do this again.
You look so.
If I get them all wrong again, then you're gonna take your score down. Just saying.
I'll put that on Jackson.
Why would you offer to help me and
My
parking right in my face so bad?
Because then next time you have.
Because I didn't feel like it.
Well,
That's your fault.
I know.
sort of God, mess on God, I ain't thinking about my
Like, I'm in
life.
between the lines.
You need to have
Yeah,
blood.
charm.
If you ain't a Christian, I'm a sucker.
I'm in between the lines.
All parties.
During my driver's test,
That wasn't me.
All I can say is you can hear it before it right.
I got here at like 6:50.
Say about that? What?
Tonight will be the night that I fall for you.
I'll park as close as my
So
possible.
like some days I won't have the car, so like that. Guys,
Okay.
Chris said that he really effing hates black people.
Racist? I knew
Why
it.
are you so racist? Oh my god.
So you know where the house is?
You racist.
You know where the house is over there?
Racist.
Actually, I'm Mexican.
My car doesn't let it racist.
I hate white people too. Does that count?
Racist.
Even more racist.
Anybody can be racist.
No. Actually, you're racist.
Oh,
that's right.
No, it doesn't. Sorry.
yeah, this is gay Jesus.
Why?
Because tonight will be the night that I fall for you.
You sing about kittens. 40-year-old men singing about kittens. And you're like,
You sound like you're singing on My Little Pony song.
you probably watch My Little Pony with your grandpa.
I literally don't.
Goodness, I hate My Little Pony.
You guys like MGK?
No.
MGK looks
What is that?
You like underage girls.
I like it, bro.
Ew.
Me too.
I fell in love and eat.
Underage.
Yeah, I know.
That's all good suggestion.
He's like 20 something. Well, maybe, but no, that song, he didn't deserve. He's 31. Is he 31?
Ew.
Same.
No,
Wait a second.
There's like, and there's also a tweet from when he was a little bit younger. His birthday's actually in 3 days. There's a clip of him.
How
do you know that? I just,
You're a
super fan, aren't you? Well, I just looked it up. There's a clip of him saying he was like Caitlyn Jenner or something when she was 17, he was 23. He's like, I don't care if he's eating me, I'm still gonna eat. It's not.
See, you sing My Little Pony with your brain. Oh, yeah, I'm watching that.
I know.
No, he knew
I
that.
watched on my TikTok. They ruined it. They watched on my TikTok.
Yes, I
You
do.
keep saying this one.
I don't have
Fancy
TikTok.
one. I didn't
Oh my god.
I didn't care during it, so it's bad, I know.
You look so embarrassed.
I know. I was bored. I didn't really care.
That's so rude.
That's my room.
Your actual
That's my room.
fair and rude.
That's like my room.
Fair and rude. My goodness.
I fell in love with an emo girl. What is that?
That's how I feel all the time.
See, this is what people say to me too.
Hey, got him.
Damn it, Bobby. That boy ain't right. That boy. Do I look like I know what a jet
That's
thing is?
quiet. Or just messing
I got them plugged on.
confused. What is going on?
Yeah, I know that. I know.
This is Chris.
Hey,
Wait.
Chris.
Wait a second.
The little boy is here.
Amazon like
Where?
That seems like something I could say.
Yeah, you remember that one kid last part?
I think I did say that when I was
Why are you
younger.
bad? The last part is what keeps us going, though. That's what keeps us
That
going.
makes it worse. That makes it worse. What are you talking? What if we could know, Emma? That's worse. It does not count, Emma.
What? How did it count?
Oh, I'm using it. It's really a challenge. But you're literally changing the perspective.
Oh, I really
I got
said
some
myself.
corn? No.
I really
It's not.
I really did.
You changed to Mike Jackson.
Make it hot.
I said hot.
He pushed it on.
It's a tag team.
It was a 2v1, bro. They jumped more like a 1.5. Bro, they jumped.
Yes. If you, there you go.
It's like first initial then guy's name. It's just, no, it's just, guess the name.
Mark,
No.
Isaac, and Wyatt.
Wait, what?
Oh my gosh, wait, is that kind of big?
That's not you.
There you go, Deacon. You're welcome.
Ayana, I'm not braiding my hair here.
Oh,
What have you
this one
done?
is really sad though.
Wait. George, don't do that.
I love it though. Look at my grandma.
Because
She's
you want to
so
see,
happy.
your mom is dead.
That's not
Grandma's
my
dead.
I know.
Your grandma's dead.
We don't have to show some picture of my
Please show up
brother's
for school
wedding.
day in corners. Just please.
Chris, I'm going to break your phone if you don't get this away from me right
Wait, how
now.
much longer is there? We got 2 minutes.
I am not listening to it. I don't post.
Let me see it. Let me see your TikTok.
We got all this. All my drafts. I don't post.
Why don't you go some? Are you self-conscious?
Yeah. Are we ready? Guys, can I write a little bit of it? Yeah. I do French business. I just
in that case,
stop.
And my dad was in prison. I don't relate to my stepdad. My stepdad was in prison.
No, I'm not braiding your hair. I'm just doing a little bit.
My stepdad was in prison for like
Yeah.
10 years, dude. And he told me one day, he's like, it's not the case.
You're right.
I can't handle any more of this.
As soon as Deacon gets back.
I told him, I will never look at you the same way.
Dr. Brown, you have to braid your hair one day, says Jackson.
It says Jackson. I don't know about that.
Cornrows? Cornrows?
Corn's my favorite show.
Yeah, I don't think I'll be doing cornrows. That just doesn't sound.
Wait, what? You're gonna be doing cornrows? Wait a second.
No.
I don't think your scalp can handle that.
I was gonna say I don't think my scalp could handle that. I mean, I've seen that done, and if Anna's telling me that it's, yeah, and I don't.
To cornrow?
What? Why is there a Rubik's Cube? The amazing cube. What is that?
Must have done that.
That is, what is that? Why did it pee on the bit? Get rid of it. Hold on. Where do you find these things?
It's from the 80s.
You're a psychopath.
I know we haven't talked in like 2 years, but you want to hang out on my message.
No.
It sounds like as soon as I poke this house, you know, Robert.
I'm actually glad. I'm proud that you don't know.
You see
I
that
love
video?
I don't even have to talk to him and Tommy King.
Tommy
He changed a lot.
Robot chicken. Rubik's the annoying cube. Oh my gosh, robot chicken. I need to turn this down so I can actually play it.
Oh, you guys like my SoundCloud? No, my cloud socks. I was thinking about rapping. Cloud socks? Cloud socks? Yeah. Are they
I have
valid?
all polar bear socks.
That's cool.
Are they valid?
That's cool, but when did I ask?
He's what he said.
Yeah, you got polar bear socks on.
Not today. I said I have polar bear
Exactly.
socks.
I have Michael Myers socks. I have socks.
I'll wear my French fry socks tomorrow. That orphans are preferred.
I would prefer black knives.
What did I just hear about
White
orphans?
Nike socks.
I wear like Walmart socks.
I heard something about orphans.
I have like 20 pairs.
I have 20 pairs of black knives. They're so comfy, they really are.
I have them for basketball.
You have to have Nike socks at basketball? Is it a requirement?
Two for me.
Okay. Is it crazy? I was about to say, if they force you to buy Nike socks, oh my god, I know what you're doing. Yo, put that picture away. No! Stop! I have a picture. You want a picture of me?
I don't want to look at it. Yeah.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god, that's my other pic. Go back. Quit packing! I am packing. I do not skip legs, no matter how much Jackson Michael Stockwell tells me.
Guys, Jackson has a crown.
You're so pretty.
No.
Aw, little cutie.
What is the I used to watch
My back's not as good as yours. You have a really good back.
So my warm up
He's not gonna disagree with
and then he made me go and and do 10 squats with some 5 on side and then like press with my hands and then back And then I had to do like
He's good. Didn't he kind of fall off though?
Row
He's still making stuff.
row 6, and then do one on row 6.
They're telling so
He's
they
gonna-
have
He's gonna get you young.
And then 500.
That's an American discourse.
I've made it through though.
My ab workouts like that is true.
The Rev Jerry Falwell, right-wing Christian televangelist,
This is a good take from
was
Bill.
painted by the moral majority and pronounced one of
I like
the
this
same
song.
characters like
Really?
homosexuality. It's an arbitrary
On my mommy account.
by Falwell. Titled,
These are my brother's friends.
Once that
I love these songs.
Jaron, if you'll fill out your pass, I'll sign it.
No. There's the four Teletubby gender.
Yeah, probably.
The 19th.
Did your hair look naturally out black?
I died.
I love my blonde.
Let me find a picture.
Hey, Jaron.
Is it like
It's brown. It's kind of a dark brown.
Beyond that,
So before he died.
It's purple, not rainbow.
me and Jackson are twins?
Beyond that, the clincher of Falwell is that Tinky Winky has the voice of a boy but carries a purse. As a Christian and all that we're learning from gay lifestyle is
Yeah, yours is more red.
My hair is not red.
It's like a dark strawberry.
You're cheating on me?
If you left the touch by they will learn. Somebody says,
I'm just kidding, you're no Tanner.
Oh, this is the perfect pic. Alright, that's a picture of me with brown hair.
What's Trayvon?
I'm literally kissing.
No, I just think it's
Look at me in this picture of Trayvon.
Oh, there it is.
That is some magic.
Brown hair Trevor. That's the only selfies I have to
make him
myself.
gay.
Oh wait, you're what?
Oh, look at this selfie.
Are you flexing?
I'm so goofy off.
Oh, I thought you were
I am number
This is a great picture of me too. Look at Aiden.
Who? That boy grad.
Dude, he takes so many pictures on my phone.
You're not gonna have my kids.
Why are you not trusting me?
Hold on, I need to find him. What was I looking for? Oh, me and Trayvon.
I can take care of
I have so many other people on school. I want from football too.
He's got no business.
Oh, right. Look at Aiden looking like a savage all the time. Anthony the star.
Oh my god.
Look at
Bryce is Bryce? He's just a good looking dude.
For sure. And that's on.
I have this picture from when we were all in Jackson. Oh, look at Trayvon. Here's Trayvon. In Jackson College.
Ew.
We made Trayvon and Clemson back in me Jackson.
That's racist. Oh, that is racist.
I love Clarence, dude.
I had to take my sister home yesterday. So
Clarence is something.
Clarence is hilarious. They're both annoying, but they're both hilarious.
you know all their siblings, all
Oh
their
my
names
gosh.
are like, yeah,
Their mom was very uncreative.
It's the most adorable Teletubbies in the world.
There's Lorenzo.
Their mom is a black
Clarence.
queen.
Group opinion.
She
It means the
Ebony.
Jackson Teletubbies say that he is black.
Should I get these? Or
He's not black enough.
His poster is black.
But where is it? I'm trying to find the other one.
Get the cheaper one. Cheap is better, huh? Yeah.
I fell in love with an emo girl.
Alright, stop. Right, MGK, he's garbage. He's very bad. He's so bad.
Ready for Spanish?
He's gonna get my email, dude. No! I just realized that was it.
How occasionally does the change when cheese?
On my story?
Hey. You trying to do another hickey?
I do.
Why you let her give you hickeys on your
I
neck?
told her to stop. I did.
Why get hickeys in general?
I said no.
Well, if you're gonna, don't get on places where people
Yeah.
can see them and just like.
And I didn't consent to it. I was forced.
I don't know.
It shows that you like that you're the king of sex.
I just
I'm in love with
I'm
the
a
CEO of sex. I like fucking the dude that plays Ned from Star Wars.
I don't think that's hot.
My little muffin dad. I'm not gay, but goddamn.
Jackson, you should let me braid your hair.
All right, guys, your exit slip is live.
Already did it. Already did it. I'm not already.
Now,
Jackson, did you exit?
Yeah, I did my exercise. If I think it takes for you and I.
No, I don't want to hear a teletubby.
My little puppy.
I am
I feel
begging
so much. It is so annoying. My son cries every time he sees this stuff.
That's call for it. Stand up.
I have to tell him every night that there is no Teletubby in this closet. Almost every night my son sees Teletubby.
Charlie and Secret.
And I race to his room and see him wait and he runs through.
They look nothing.
And you don't look for you at all. Sorry, it's a weird looking spot.
Please stop. I told
you.
And then they're saying, he's 17. How can he be a
I'll go and email him doing it.
Me and
Do
Nathan.
it. Do it.
My son cries every not that long.
I don't want to hear Chris. Okay, number 4-year-old. Why am I not surprised that he didn't hear anything?
He's the next one. That's the only reason why I do bodybuilding because I want to animate.
How do you feel about them getting rid of
They got rid. No, he didn't leave. They got rid of him.
He was a horrible teammate. Boxing teammate. You don't need a guy like that on your team.
That's on. That's on Cat. I put that on Cat.
A guy like that. Dolphins are still gonna suck.
Yeah.
Guess what? Christian McCaffrey ain't gonna be able to.
He's gonna get hurt.
He's gonna get hurt.
Tom Brady's gonna get hurt. I'm calling it. Aaron Donald.
Tom Brady's gonna die. I'm gonna hurt.
Aaron Donald or
One of them will hurt him. Did you see Von Miller got traded to the Bills?
6-year deal.
He traded. He not traded. He signed.
Well, either way, though.
6-year deal.
How are you gonna win a Super Bowl in
Do
this
you
year?
hear about no award and like $100 million?
Is that a comment?
Huge contract.
Yeah.
They just keep getting more and more. It's
This is
crazy.
the award for highest paid TV.
Dude, I saw an Instagram post, like, you know the ramen noodle flavoring
How
pack?
do you do it?
How they're those little
Best in the league right now, though.
Oh no, I think it's Jared Ramsey.
No, the ramen noodle flavor pack.
It's definitely not.
Some girl was
What trademark did it?
I think
Just have a good afternoon.